morning, folks. It is just after 8 a.m. Central Standard Time on August 2nd, 2022. Hope our crew is keeping you well and safe wherever you are in the world. Please make sure to hit that like button and share this across other platforms so we can let people know what's going out in our solar system and the effects it can have here on Earth. If you happen to be new to the channel, please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell in case we have any critical future updates. This is an update for you. Of course, we all know about this fat flare with a fat butt we had yesterday, but I want everybody to pay attention to something else. Notice how we're starting off at spaceweatherlive.com, by the way, and if you notice here, this is our flux. Okay, this is our basic everyday what we're taking. As you can see, we're living in B flare. Okay, B2, and it's just kind of, we get these teeny little spikes, but if you notice, the baseline is starting to come up. You notice this? It's coming up as it has before. I've shown you guys before. We were way down here at B1, which is pretty mild and kind, but notice here we're starting to come up. We're gonna start bouncing up here into C flare, and as we start getting up into C flare, that means we're gonna start getting some M flares. Just like here, we were down here at B flare, we almost got to an M. So this was pretty significant. Now, for those of you who might be new to the channel, where did this big flare come from? Well, let me show you. It came from this active region right around here. Okay, now the eastern limb, this is actually from stereo head, so it's actually ahead of the Earth. So the Earth would be more over here. Stereo head kind of sits off to the side about 40 degrees. So the actual limb of the sun is actually like right around in here. Okay, so this actually allows us to see beyond it, just a sneak peek, so we can see what's coming. And as we can tell, we've got this active region, this large active region, another one over here, and there's obviously some more back over here. So this is what, as this is coming around the limb and starting to face us, it's actually causing our flux, our constant living state, to increase. And the higher this goes, the higher the flare potential is. So imagine if instead of being in B2, if we were actually living in C flare, that would have popped up here into X. So that's why I keep a close eye on this bad boy. Okay, now if I actually back this thing up, now this is from today's shot. I'll actually back this up just a little bit. So here's the one from today, 12:45 UTC time. This right here is from yesterday. And right here you can see this white line. This is the eastern limb. Okay, so we got this sunspot, 3070 has been named, 3068. These are actually sunspots that are facing the Earth right now. And they're starting to activate. They're starting to activate a little bit more. They're starting to get, a little hotter. Well, it's also getting a little hotter with this big old region right over here coming around the corner. So we've got a lot of fun stuff to deal with there, folks. As we actually look at the actual disk itself, and here's 3068, I think it was I just said. Yeah, 3068, and then 3070 is up here. So come over here, take a look here, 3068, 3070. See that? So look at this region over here. We can clearly see there is a lot of activity, lots of plasma ribbons just dancing all over the place. In fact, let's hit play real quick, and you can see all the filament movement. In fact, let's just make this a little bit bigger. You can see all the activity, and this is going to be coming around the mountain facing us. We had a teeny little flare over here. If you see that, you see these little chatter marks? That's constant flare. As long as that lasts, that's actually pretty cool. That's long lasting. Now it was a small one, and it was right along the western limb, so it was just kind of lifting up off of the surface. So if that was facing us, that'd be a whole different story, wouldn't it? It looks like we're starting to get a little more activity out of this little guy right here. You can see the movement, but we'll see what happens. This is what's getting my attention, folks, is right here. Yippee-ki-yay. Now if we actually come over here and we take a look at 171 angstroms, this kind of tells you a little more of the story. Okay, you can see it's nice. The filaments here, these little filament ribbons, they're kind of calm, but then you look over here and this is what's coming around the limb. Look how extended they are. That's a lot of X-ray flux that's going to be pouring right our direction, folks. Now as far as coronal holes go, we do have this nice large coronal hole. We're over here at ISWA right now looking at 211 angstroms of light. It allows us to see the coronal holes a little bit better than other angstroms. So we can actually see these coronal holes now with all of this here in the middle. See how this is really funky shaped? Well, the wind that comes out of this has been kind of funky, and that's why we've been seeing those little impacts, if you will. We can see our BZ and BT kind of open up and close down and kind of bounce all over the place. Well, the way that this thing is shaped, how it's all funky like this, and you get stuff getting in the way, it's kind of like sticking your thumb in the end of a water hose off the side of your house, and you take your thumb and you put it over it, and you kind of move it up and down, how the water will kind of spray in different directions. I mean, same kind of principle. Okay, and so every once in a while we get a little whip, because this is the equatorial plane. We're actually riding up here. Okay, we're on the northern side of the equatorial plane at this moment. So as it's whipping around, you know, like a thumb in the end of a water hose, every once in a while we get a little drop or a little spray. Nothing major or significant. But more of the solar wind will actually be impacting us more than likely tomorrow. And as we can see, we've got a nice coronal hole here. Actually, let me play on it. This is from yesterday. And we've got this nice size coronal hole here starting to form. Oh, look at this. It looks like an upside down Star Trek symbol, doesn't it? Interesting. Or a Space Force. And remember I was saying that this is showing a little activity. We just saw a little bit right there. Let's get to where about present. And don't worry, that's just the Earth, not a big worry. There we go. I'll just go like this. Now, here's the thing that gets me. If you take a look at this coronal hole here, it actually looks like it's not in the sun to be forcing out straight. It almost looks like this side is higher than this one. This was kind of low, so this almost looks like it's pointing straight at us, which is really weird because that's very abnormal. But we'll see what happens. That's actually quite interesting. So if we have the arrival of some hard solar winds between this guy here, I mean, look how much bigger it is. Remember I was telling you the thumb? Here you go. There's the thumb getting in the way. And then we've got some wind that could happen here. But with this here, that would be a really weird, interesting combination. Looks like we've also got another coronal hole trying to form here. And then, yeah, this bright region over here and down here coming. Checking out our Schumann, we'll move over to our Russian model, and it looks like we do have some kind of activity going on. Looks like we had a power hit of about 29 earlier. These are some very sharp, intentional spikes. That's very interesting. But then checking out our Italian model, there is some activity along the ground. It's not super loud, but this one indicates that something loud happened right here. I mean, the geophone here is really sounding off with it. Let's go down and take a look at our color coordinations and see what we're looking at. Now here we're looking at our color chart here. All of these are different frequencies, okay, and they also happen to correlate with the chakras. Okay, every single one of these colors. Now I don't remember what the color chart is in order for it to coordinate to the chakras, but we've got blues and reds and oranges and yellows and greens. And if you see these chatter marks here like this, see these little hash or chatter? Yeah, I'm going to call them chatter marks. These chatter marks, that to me is data. That's information, whether it's being received or sent. That's what that looks like to me, because they're patternized. I've shown those many times on here. And of course, look at the different colors going on. Let's see if we got a lot of lightning down in Cumiana, Italy, which is where this model is. Yeah, see our chatter marks here? Got more of them there, more of them there. Let's see what's going on. No, there's nothing going on in Italy. Right here is Cumiana, Italy, and there is absolutely no lightning in Cumiana, Italy whatsoever. So CERN is not turned on whatsoever. And I've shown you guys this wall here, this red brick wall, how it shoots up. This is indicative that CERN has kicked on, which is right by Cumiana, Italy. It's literally like a stone's throw away. So, yeah, both Russia is showing activity and Italy. So something's going on with the Earth, folks. And as we jump over here to earthquakesvolcanodiscovery.com, we can clearly see in the last 24 hours, I've got it actually pulled down to 24 hours for earthquakes and eruptions. So we can see all of our eruptive volcanoes that are going on. And in the past 24 hours, look at this. We've got Sandwich Islands going off. We've got a 5.0 and a 4.7. So this is really a 6.0 and a 5.7. And once again, Iceland has got another bunch of swarms going on. This is all of them look like they're from today, but it is within the last 24 hours. We've got another decent sized one, another 5.3 that they're registering, which is really a 6.3. Don't forget, Solomon Islands, that when Mr. Richter died, the one who invented the Richter scale, as soon as he died, they literally downgraded everything by 1 full point because they didn't want to alarm the public. But these are what the real numbers are. Always add 1 point to whatever you're seeing. So there's a lot of activity going on along our tectonic plates, lots of shaking and quaking. Our Earth is stretching. We're taking a lot of solar winds. We're taking a lot of punches. Now, for those of you who are interested, spaceweather.com. Check this out, a Sprite above the Pleiades stars. For those of you who are interested in signs in the stars and different things like that, this kind of looks like a little bit of an angel there, doesn't it? It's interesting. If you look up into the mythology of what sprites are, they seem to be a little different than what science is explaining them, if you know what I mean. So keep your eyes open, no fear, and remember that love is the only way forward. So that we'll follow.